Indonesia has various cultures from its local ethnics. Each region has its different characteristics. Madiun is a city located in East Java. Its motto as Kota Gadis, Perdagangan, Pendidikan, dan Perindustrian, Universitas PGRI Madiun Unipma plays a major role to develop the quality of education both nationally and internationally. Universitas PGRI Madiun Unipma has achieved some award, winning the award of Top University Aku from Cooperative 7, getting institution accreditation B, winning national competition grants, and many more. Unipma has 2 postgraduate programs and 4 faculties for undergraduate program with 22 departments. Postgraduate program, Indonesian language and literature education, and social science education. Undergraduate programs, Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Faculty of Health Sciences and Science, Faculty of Engineering, and Faculty of Economics and Business. To support students' activities and develop students' talents and creativities, there are also some students' activity centers: choir, band, theater, modern and traditional dance, karate, student regiment, and scout. In encouraging the smart and competitive alumni, Unipma also provides representative facilities, convenient classrooms, Campus 1, Campus 2, Campus 3, library, laboratories, micro-teaching and computer, sports center, language and culture center, Graha Cendekia, dormitory, gamelan room. Universitas PGRI Madiun Unipma commits to give learning-oriented education and student independence to develop their abilities and skills by organizing some activities such as national and international seminars.
Universitas PGRI Madiun, smart and competitive.
Unipma, smart and competitive.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Morning, sir.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Linda Niko Pradana, as your moderator in room number 7. In this parallel section, we will doing a presentation section, and then all author will present their work or their paper in this event. Before we start the parallel presentation, let me share my screen. Okay, I will explain about presentation guidelines. In this room, we have 7 paper, and of course, all of paper will be presented in this room, and we will discuss according to the topic. The presenter guidelines. First, all of author can share their slide via Zoom meeting. But if possible, please send your PowerPoint file in chat room. Because if any trouble during presentation or during share screen, our team will help you and can share your PowerPoint file in this room. Okay, next, presenter will divide it in 3 sessions. The first session is Ms. Pujiati and Mr. Rahman. second session, Ms. Utami and Ms. Nur Hidayati. The third session, we have Miss Krishnamurti and Miss Sari, also Miss Mayasari. Each paper will be presented by an author in 15 minutes or less, by live presentation or by video. After every session, of presentation, discussion will be held in every session after the presentation over. For delivering question, please raise hand and use chat to deliver question to the presenter. Okay, the lineup in every session is flexible because in this room, wait a minute. Okay, we have Miss Pujati, Miss Nur Hidayati, and Miss Gabriela already in this room. The other presenters still not coming in this room. So to start this parallel session, we will start with participant or author that already in this room. Okay, maybe any question according to the guidelines?
No, it's okay.
Okay, then we will begin the parallel presentation. The first presenter is Miss Pujiati from Universitas PGRI Madiun. The paper entitled "The Quality Test of Fermented Ginger Drink, Ginger Ale, produced from various types of Indonesian ginger." So, Ms. Pujiati, please.
Okay, thank you for Mr. Lingga Niko Pradana. Good morning to all the participants. Okay, I will share my presentation today. Actually, I have opened my PowerPoint, but there is no view. What is that? Yeah, view in my screen. So okay, I will share the full. Okay, it's okay, yeah. Okay, thank you, Mr. Lingga. Pak Lingga. Okay, today I will present our introduction research. Yeah, I think it is a introductionary research, just pre-research about the quality test of fermented ginger drinks, or not well known with ginger ale, produced from various types of Indonesian gingers. The research team is I'm Pujati, and then Ibu Ani Sulistiarsi, and the last one is our students Nur Fajri. Okay, for the introduction, we know that ginger is one of the pharmaceutical plant that is comprised of fat, protein, starch, water, fibers, ash, volatile oil, and also resinous matter. It contains natural bioactive components that function as anti-emetic, cancer prevention agents, antipyretic, antioxidants, and also anti-inflammatory. We know that there are 3 types of ginger in Indonesia, including empret gingers, yeah, or we call it Jai empret. This is Zingiberaceae officinale varians Amarum, and the second one is elephant gingers, or we call with Jahe Gajah. There is a variant of officinarum, and the last one is red gingers, or we call with Zingiberaceae officinale varian rubrum. Okay, red ginger are generally utilized for dietary enhancement or homegrown prescriptions, while the elephant and emperor ginger is typically utilized for cooking flavors or herbal drink. Based on the literature, there was no research that focuses on the production of ginger ale using local ginger in Indonesia. So this research objections is to produce and test the quality of ginger ale that produced from Indonesian local gingers. Okay, this is the material. The basic material that we use is ginger juice. Actually, from local ginger, we use 3 kinds of ginger. The first one is emperor gingers, elephant gingers, and the last one is red gingers. And the others material, for example, sugar, lemon juice, nutrient agar medium, skim milk, glycylfulvin, and the other compounds. Okay, about the methods, actually, as I said before, that this is a elementary. What is that? Yeah, this is introduction. Yeah, introduction research. So this is quantitative research. The method conducted in this research including research designing, fresh material preparation and mixing, pasteurization and fermentation, alcohol volume test, isolation of probiotic bacteria, sugar reduction test, flavonoid test, and also organoleptic testing. Okay, about the procedure, the first one, we make a ginger bug. Ginger bug is the starter probiotic used for the production of ginger ale. So in this research, the first one, we made a ginger bug. Ginger bug is a starter, yeah. So we use a natural probiotic starter to produce this ginger ale. The production of ginger bug is to extract of 22 grams of the ginger, then added by 28 grams of sugar are dissolved in 500 ml of water, then homogenize the solution and ferment for 4 days. The ginger bug production formula is as follows, yes, based on Muller 20 and 14. This is the formula to produce the ginger bug. So this we are use 500 of water, 22 grams of ginger, and 28 grams of sugar. This is the picture of ginger bug. So this is a fermented beverage. Yeah, we know that this is so many probiotic bacteria. So this research also observed what kind of the probiotic bacteria that dominate in this product. Then the ginger ale production. So we make the basic or the standard formula to produce the ginger ale production. Okay, the ginger. This is the formula, yeah, the basic formula to produce the ginger ale. The first one is 100 of ginger bug, then added by 500 of water, and the third one we use 90 ml of lemon juice, then 22 grams of grated gingers, and the last one is 28 grams of sugar. This is the basic formula. Then we make this ginger ale for 3 kinds of gingers. Now this is the procedure, yeah. Making ginger ale begins with making ginger tea by boiling 22 grams of grated ginger into 500 of water, and then boiling, then cooled to temperature of about 30 Celsius, yeah. After cooling, 90 ml of lemon juice and ginger bug were added as a probiotic starter. Finally, the ginger ale solution was incubated for 7 days at room temperature to reduce gas pressure. Is done by opening the bottle. This is the reference, yeah. We use a Taylor 20 and 14. This is our results. Okay, the first one is about the isolation of probiotic bacteria. So we use the natrium agar and skim milk medium. Then we observe we have 3 dominant bacteria in here. The first one, this is indicate the lactobacillus, yeah, based on their characteristic, both macroscopic or microscopic characteristic. And the second one, this is B, label in B, indicate a streptococcus, based on their characteristic, yeah, both macroscopic or microscopic. So and the last one is this C, yeah. This is a micrococcus. It is a coccus in shape, gram-positive bacteria. So all of the bacteria that we found in the ginger ale is gram-positive bacteria, as we know that probiotic mostly dominate with gram-positive bacteria, and all of these bacteria that found in the ginger ale is a probiotic bacteria, because we use a selective medium, yeah, to isolate the bacteria. There is a Na and plus skim milk medium. Okay, and the second one, second one about the organoleptic testing. We know that the ginger ale is not popular, yeah, in Indonesia, but it is very popular in USA or Europe. So it is not familiar to all people in Indonesia. So we use organoleptic testing in this research. Based on this organoleptic testing, the people tend to like the ginger ale that made from emprit ginger, yeah. Ginger ale's organoleptic testing based on the questionnaire distributed to panelists about the organoleptic test. Then panelists prefer the test of a sweet fizzy drink and strong ginger taste. So based on this organoleptic testing that I said before, that the most ginger ale that people like is the ginger ale from emprit ginger. Okay, and the next, this is the, what is that? Yeah? Phenolic compound testing, yeah. Then a reducing sugar testing, and also alcohol testing. About the phenolic compound, we used to sample, just to sample, yeah, that most people like to, about Jahe Emprit and Jahe Gajah. Nah, this is from this picture, so that based on the phenolic compound test, it is positive about the phenolic compound is luteolin group. And about the reducing sugar, we know that reducing sugar obtained as much as 3.65%, and the last sample is about 9.78%. And about the alcohol content, it is about 11.04%, and the sample 3 was 14.8%. Yeah, this is the identification of phenolic compound. So I don't test the phenolic compound in our department, but I send this sample to the other universities. So the result of this research based on the content of the ginger ale for identification of phenolic compound are both positive for containing phenolic compound from the flavin group. There is luteolin. Luteolin has potential antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, apoptosis, including and chemopreventive activities. Luteolin contain anti-tumor activity, which slows down cell proliferation activity, and then injects DNA topoisomerase II activity and slow down the process of making cancer cells, based on Lung et al. 206. Okay, about the reducing sugar. Reducing sugar content was measured using the iodometric method. Then where monosaccharide were oxidized by CuO and low scroll reagent. The result of the reduced sugar content test showed that for the first sample, it's about 3.65%, and the sample B about 9.78%. The decrease in reducing sugar level indicate that the microorganism cells actively consume the sugar available in the fermentation mediums. Microorganism cells use the sugar as a carbon source to produce the energy. About the alcohol level, the data shows that the first formula is about 11.5%, and the second formula it's about 14.8%. Based on the Indonesian regulation, that ginger ale is include in Group B, which is a group of alcoholic beverages whose production, distribution, and sales are categorized as supervised goods, yeah, because this is alcoholic beverages in a level B. Okay, then the conclusion. Probiotic bacteria that found in the sample of ginger ale are Lactobacillus, Streptococcus, and Micrococcus. Then the organoleptic test questionnaire data show that the panelists prefer the ginger ale recipe to the second and third recipe of ginger Pret variants. The result of laboratory tests showed that the presence of flavonphenolic compounds, namely luteolin, which is good as an antioxidant, and the level of reducing sugar produced from ginger ale are 3.65% and 9.78%. The alcohol content contained in its group is in Group B, where this ginger ale product is included in the beverage category under supervision. Okay, it's my reference. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Pujiati, for the information about ginger ale.
You're welcome.
Since we have 3 presenters here, maybe I will open a discussion now. So please, if any question according to Ms. Pujiati work or paper, then raise hand and deliver the question directly. Okay.
Ask a question?
Yeah. Go on, Miss Gabriela.
Yeah, thank you so much for the chance. Actually, this is such as interesting research because it changed the formation of the ginger itself. But I would like to know what is your reason why you have to change the form as a ginger ale, because as I know so far that if we use ginger as itself, we smash the ginger and we make as a ginger drink is already full of benefits, because ginger is one of the medicinal plants that being used nowadays. But why you have to change the form into ginger ale? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for Miss Gabriela for the question. Actually, my first reason why I use this product, the first one, I want to observe the probiotic bacteria actually. So I want to explore the probiotic bacteria in the fermented gingers. And as you know, so many articles that say the ginger ale have so many potential benefit in our health, better than the fresh ginger. Actually, my research just finished in a simple data about this ginger ale. And next, perhaps I want to explore. I want to make a research, deepen research about that the impact of ginger ale to our health compared with the fresh ginger. Actually, that's it. That's my reasons. To Miss Gabriela. Actually, I'm curious about the probiotic bacteria in.
I see.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
But is
Yes.
what it I would like to ask again, would it change the natural benefits of the ginger, or it has it's more beneficial than the fresh ginger? And does the method to prepare the ginger ale can influence the result, influence the benefits?
Yes, actually, in fresh ginger, we can find a probiotic bacteria. Then the fermented ginger, we also consume a probiotic bacteria. Perhaps this is the difference, yeah, the difference about. I'm not sure about the component actually because I just measured the basic component also, and we just use a simple test to observe about the component phenolic and so on. I think it's yeah. Miss Gabriela, yes.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
Sorry ya. Bahasa Inggrisnya grado.
Nggak apa-apa, Bu.
Yeah. Okay. I think we have an interesting discussion about ginger ale. Can I drink ginger ale from now?
Okay. You can order to me.
Okay.
Then I will commercialize.
Yeah. Since the ginger ale is an alcoholic water, maybe that can make me drunk.
The level is yeah.
Okay. Maybe any other question to Miss Pujiati? None. Okay. Thank you for Miss Pujiati for the great performance with discussing about ginger ale. And now we move on to the second presenter, which is Miss Nur Hidayati. She already here. Hello, Miss Nur Hidayati. Hello. Based on the information that the committee gave to me, you already sent a video to present your paper. Is that right?
Oh, pakai video aja.
Okay. Asik. Mas Rizal, diputar videonya Bu Nur Hidayati. Okay, we will play presentation video from Miss Nur Hidayati, revealing senior high school student.
Selamat pagi dan salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Yang saya hormati Bapak Moderator Room 7, Bapak Lingga Niko Pradana, SPD MPD. Yang saya hormati Bapak Ibu peserta konferensi pada hari ini. Pada kesempatan kali ini saya akan mempresentasikan hasil penelitian dengan judul Disclosing Environmental Knowledge of Senior High School Student Based on Local Potential by Gender and Grade. Dari saya Siti Nur Hidayati dengan anggota Endang Susampini, Sapno Wandi, Ida Rahmadiarti dan Hairuman dari Universitas Pendidikan Mandalika dan Universitas Negeri Surabaya. Introduction. Penelitian ini bertujuan untuk 1. Mendeskripsikan pengetahuan lingkungan siswa berbasis potensi lokal di Provinsi Nusa Tenggara Barat. 2. Menganalisis pengetahuan lingkungan siswa ditinjau berdasarkan gender. Dan 3. Menganalisis pengetahuan lingkungan siswa ditinjau dari grade. Penelitian ini penting untuk dilakukan karena pengetahuan lingkungan adalah pengetahuan yang harus dimiliki oleh siswa, sehingga siswa mengetahui dan memahami seluk-beluk lingkungan sekitar tempat tinggalnya, apa saja potensi lokal daerah yang tersedia ataupun berbagai persoalan yang berkembang di lingkungannya, agar siswa memiliki kepedulian untuk merawat, mengembangkan, dan melestarikan lingkungannya. Lingkungan saat ini mengalami banyak perubahan. Di Nusa Tenggara Barat, khususnya Lombok, juga tidak luput dari adanya perubahan iklim dan lingkungan. Di antaranya terjadi kerusakan ekosistem terumbu karang yang sebagian besar disebabkan oleh aktivitas manusia. Kerusakan hutan karena dijadikan lahan pertanian, kerusakan ekosistem mangrove yang disebabkan oleh faktor sosial masyarakat, berkurangnya jumlah hewan dan tumbuhan akibat perburuan liar dan lain sebagainya. Rusaknya ekosistem serta menipisnya sumber daya alam disebabkan oleh kurangnya wawasan masyarakat terkait pengelolaan dan pelestarian lingkungan, sehingga masyarakat kurang memiliki kepedulian terhadap lingkungan. Untuk itu wawasan mengenai lingkungan perlu digalakkan, salah satunya melalui pendidikan. Penelitian sebelumnya di Nusa Tenggara Barat mengungkap tentang sikap peduli lingkungan siswa tingkat SMP dan pengintegrasian pendidikan lokal di Kabupaten Lombok Utara. Hasil penelitian tersebut secara keseluruhan memiliki kekurangan, yaitu belum ada yang mengkaji tentang pengaruh sikap peduli lingkungan ditinjau dari gender dan grade. Atas dasar itulah kemudian penelitian ini dilakukan untuk mengupas mengenai pengetahuan lingkungan siswa SMA yang ada di 5 kabupaten kota di Pulau Lombok, Nusa Tenggara Barat, dilihat dari kesetaraan gender dan grade. Jenis penelitian ini adalah penelitian survei dengan populasi seluruh siswa SMA di 5 kabupaten kota yang ada di Pulau Lombok. Karena jangkauan yang cukup luas dan untuk mendapatkan data penelitian yang representatif, maka sampel yang diambil dalam penelitian ini adalah keterwakilan satu sekolah SMA yang ada di setiap kabupaten, yaitu 52 sekolah. Data penelitian tersebut kemudian dianalisis secara deskriptif dan inferensial melalui analisis one-way ANOVA dan post-hoc test. Instrumen yang digunakan dalam penelitian ini berupa lembar angket peduli lingkungan. Indikator yang dibahas yaitu mengenai pentingnya lingkungan sekitar atau potensi lokal yang kemudian dikembangkan menjadi 5 buah pertanyaan yang dikemas dalam bentuk pernyataan positif dan negatif menggunakan skala Likert. Hasil penelitian dan pembahasan. 1. Analisis deskriptif pengetahuan lingkungan siswa. Data yang terdapat pada diagram lingkaran ini menunjukkan bahwa pengetahuan lingkungan siswa tergolong rendah, yaitu 32% berkategori rendah dan 41% berkategori cukup, dan tinggi mencapai 27%. Rendahnya pengetahuan lingkungan siswa menyebabkan siswa kurang peduli dengan lingkungan sekitar, sehingga siswa tidak mengontrol tindakannya yang nantinya dapat berakibat fatal bagi lingkungan. Pengetahuan lingkungan yang rendah menyebabkan siswa kekurangan informasi yang menjadi dasar untuk tidak merusak lingkungan. Selain itu, siswa kurang memperhatikan setiap perilakunya yang dapat berdampak terhadap lingkungan. Rendahnya pengetahuan lingkungan dan kepedulian siswa terhadap lingkungan dapat juga disebabkan oleh kurangnya penerapan pengetahuan dalam memecahkan persoalan lingkungan hidup dalam kehidupan sehari-hari, kurang memelihara dan merawat gedung dan lingkungan sekolah, kurang memanfaatkan lahan dan fasilitas sekolah sesuai dengan kaedah pengelolaan lingkungan, dan kurang mengikuti aksi sosial lingkungan hidup yang diadakan pihak lain. 2. Pengetahuan lingkungan siswa ditinjau dari gender. Data pengetahuan lingkungan siswa ditinjau dari gender dianalisis secara inferensial menggunakan one-way ANOVA untuk mengetahui perbedaan pengetahuan lingkungan antara siswa laki-laki dan perempuan. Nah, tabel 1 ini menyajikan hasil analisis one-way ANOVA. Perbedaan pengetahuan lingkungan siswa dilihat dari gender. Nah, berdasarkan data yang terdapat pada tabel 1 ini menunjukkan bahwa terdapat perbedaan yang signifikan antara nilai pengetahuan lingkungan siswa laki-laki dan siswa perempuan, yaitu nilai sig lebih kecil dari 0,5, yaitu 0,0151. Hasil analisis tersebut kemudian dilanjutkan menggunakan analisis post hoc untuk mengetahui pengetahuan lingkungan siswa yang mana yang lebih baik antara siswa laki-laki dan siswa perempuan. Analisis dilanjutkan menggunakan analisis post hoc yang disajikan pada tabel 2 untuk mengetahui mana yang lebih baik antara pengetahuan lingkungan siswa laki-laki atau siswa perempuan. Hasil yang ditunjukkan oleh tabel 2 bahwa ada perbedaan yang signifikan nilai pengetahuan lingkungan siswa antara laki-laki dan perempuan, di mana siswa perempuan memiliki nilai pengetahuan lingkungan yang lebih tinggi bila dibandingkan dengan laki-laki, yaitu nilai P lebih kecil dari 0,05 dengan rata berturut-turut 70,21 dan 66,06. Perempuan memiliki pengetahuan dan kesadaran lingkungan yang lebih tinggi dibandingkan laki-laki. Hal ini disebabkan perempuan selalu terlibat tanggung jawab di lingkungan rumah, sedangkan laki-laki tidak sering terlibat. Perempuan juga lebih sering terlibat pada konservasi hutan, sedangkan laki-laki dianggap lebih sering terlibat pada perusakan hutan. Misalnya penebangan liar di hutan. 3. Pengetahuan lingkungan siswa dilihat dari grade. Pengetahuan lingkungan siswa dilihat dari grade dianalisis menggunakan one-way ANOVA untuk mengetahui perbedaan pengetahuan lingkungan antara siswa kelas 10 dan kelas 11. Hasil analisis disajikan pada tabel 3. Tabel 3 menunjukkan bahwa ada perbedaan yang signifikan antara nilai pengetahuan lingkungan siswa jenjang kelas 10 dan jenjang kelas 11. Kemudian analisis dilanjutkan menggunakan post hoc yang disajikan pada tabel 4. Tabel 4 menunjukkan bahwa ada perbedaan yang signifikan antara nilai pengetahuan lingkungan siswa jenjang kelas 10 dan jenjang kelas 11, di mana siswa jenjang kelas 11 memiliki nilai pengetahuan lingkungan yang lebih tinggi bila dibandingkan dengan siswa kelas 10 dengan rata berturut-turut 73,09 dan 64,45. Siswa dengan jenjang yang berbeda memiliki pengetahuan lingkungan yang berbeda. Tingkat pengetahuan siswa dapat mempengaruhi kebiasaan dan kepedulian siswa terhadap lingkungan. Di antaranya, pengetahuan lingkungan yang terbatas dapat mempengaruhi sikap dan perilaku peserta didik terhadap lingkungannya. Semakin tinggi tingkat pendidikan atau kelas, semakin tinggi pengetahuan lingkungan bagi siswa yang nantinya berimplikasi pada kedewasaan pola pikir siswa. Kesimpulan. Penelitian ini membuktikan bahwa pengetahuan lingkungan siswa cukup rendah dan secara signifikan pengetahuan tersebut dipengaruhi oleh gender dan grade. Secara umum, pengetahuan lingkungan siswa perempuan lebih baik bila dibandingkan dengan laki-laki, dan siswa kelas 11 memiliki pengetahuan yang lebih baik dari siswa kelas 10. Hasil penelitian ini menunjukkan bahwa peran guru di lingkungan sekolah sangatlah penting untuk mengedukasi guna memberikan pemahaman akan pentingnya menjaga kelestarian lingkungan. Ketika siswa memiliki wawasan dan pengetahuan tentang pentingnya keberlangsungan lingkungan sekitar atau potensi lokal daerah, maka siswa akan lebih tanggap dengan isu-isu lingkungan sekitar, akan menumbuhkan sikap peduli lingkungan, kemampuan dalam pemecahan masalah, dan lebih kritis, meningkatkan rasa ingin tahu siswa, sehingga siswa akan lebih menghormati lingkungan sekitar dengan menerapkannya langsung di lingkungan untuk menjaga, merawat, dan melestarikan lingkungan sekitar tempat belajarnya. Demikianlah yang bisa saya sampaikan. Terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, thank you for Ms. Nur Hidayati. Before we open the discussion, I would like to continue the presentation with the next presenter. We have Miss Gabriela Chandra Kirana Krishnamurti from King Mongkut University of Technology and Dewi Ratih Tirtosari from Brawijaya University. The paper entitled "Does Cantella asiatica have anti-aging activity in skincare products?" Miss Gabriela, you use video or live presentation?
I think I prefer to do live presentation.
Okay. Please.
Yes. Okay. Can I start my presentation?
Yeah, go on.
Okay. Thank you so much for the chance. Thank you for the Mr. Moderator and all the participants here. Today, I would like to present my research that I've done with my friends from Brawijaya. Here is the research about the Centella asiatica that have the aging activity in skincare products. So now I'd like to introduce you for the mechanisms, but this one I focus on the mechanisms of aging in the skin. We know that is we have the ultraviolet from sun, and when it gets exposed to our skin, it stimulates the reactive oxygen species, which is ROS, and this kind of this ROS can activate the MAPK pathway. This one, the MAPK pathway is an enzyme that have a role in cell proliferation, cell differentiation, and also apoptosis. And this MAPK pathway can induce the transcription factor of AP1, and this AP1 is the main transcription factor that can that take part or take role in the MMP synthesize. So MMP here is the matrix metalloprotease. This is one of the enzymes that involved in the aging mechanisms. So if the MMP is high, the collagen production will be low and it can cause aging. But for my research, I focus on the 3 MMP is 3, 9, and 12. So, and we know there is many research discover about the natural bioactive compounds, and one of the herbs, one of the bioactive compounds that now is being discovered is the flavonoids. And Centella asiatica is one of the herbs that have the flavonoids. So it's already identified that it has many potencies such as antioxidant, microbes, antimicrobes, anti-inflammations, and wound healing. But for the anti-aging is we still don't know, we're still not sure about the anti-aging mechanisms of the Centella asiatica through the inhibition of the MMP. So this study provides potency of 2 new flavonoids, which is casaliflorol and casalicitin as collagenase and elastase inhibitor through the inhibition of MMP3, 9, and 12. So my research with the in silico, so I did it computationally. First, I prepared the protein and ligand structure as a 3D structure from database. I used the PDB and PubChem for the retrieving the data, and then I prepare with the software, and then to interact the ligands and protein, I use docking. I use the Hex software, and I visualize the result using Discovery Studio in 3-dimension and 2-dimension result. And here is my first result. You see there is a lot of amino acid residue here, but I differentiate between the amino acid residue that is involved in the active side and catalytic side of protein by coloring as a red color. Because since MMP is the enzyme, if the enzyme is inhibited by the inhibitor, so and the inhibition is occur in the active side or catalytic side, so the catalytic activity and the activity of the enzyme will be disturbed by the inhibition of the inhibitor. So this one, I show you the potency of the cathelicidin and catheliferol by binding to the active site and catalytic site of the enzyme. We can see here, this is many red colors, so it indicates the ability of cathelicidin and catheliferol in inhibiting the MMP3 and 9 in the active site and catalytic site. And there is many types of the bonding of interactions, and this is the binding free energy. It determines the strength of the binding. So if the binding energy is low, for example, like minus 1000 or minus 500, it means that as long as it's low, so the interaction will be strong and the ligand can easily interact with the protein. So we can see here the pattern. The binding free energy is almost the same. So it means that the cathelicidin and catheliferol can relatively easy to bind with the protein and with the same binding free energy. So it doesn't have any competition in the binding. And here's the result and discussion that I would like to show you. This is the 3-dimension and 2-dimension result. Actually, there's a lot of amino acid residue here, and you can see this line here. It means that this amino acid residue is bind with the ligands. I mean the amino acid residue of protein bind with the ligands. But the free amino acid residue here represents the van der Waals binding. Van der Waals binding is not binds directly with in the ligand and protein binding, but it helps to stabilize the interactions. And here I just want to, you don't have to understand like all of this, but I just want to show you that both flavonoids interact with the catalytic sites of MMP3, and the inhibition of catheliferol and cathelicidin to MMP3 indicating the collagenase inhibitor potency. And here is the MMP9. I have the same conclusion of the result, but here I just want to highlight about the cathelicidin and MMP interaction. It shows the ability to bind. The catheliferol show the ability to bind with the MMP9 with the active site of the protein through arginine 98 or with a hydrophobic bond. But the cathelicidin can bind with the 5 amino acid residue that is in active sites of MMP9. So we can conclude also that this inhibition of the cathelicidin and catheliferol to MMP9 indicating the collagenase inhibitor potency. So in contrast with the MMP12, it showed the optimum binding as well, but the ligands does not bind with the active site or catalytic site. So how would we conclude the potency of it then? We can still say that this inhibitor, I mean this catheliferol and cathelicidin can still bind, can still interfere, disturb the MMP9 synthesize, MMP9 enzymatic process. But anyway, maybe the inhibition is not as optimum as if it binds to the catalytic site or active site. So from all the result, I would like to show you the mechanisms predictions of Centella asiatica as anti-aging. Here is the mechanism that I showed you before. It's the same with the introductions. When our skin got exposed with the UV light, it stimulates the level of ROS, which is also can activate the MAPK pathway. That is the main reason of the MMP synthesize, because it can activate the AP1 as a transcription factor. But if we apply the Centella asiatica, which has the flavonoids, cathelicidin and catheliferol, it can reduce the level of the collagenase. The collagenase is an enzyme that can break down our collagen. So, and the collagenase is one of the factors that can cause the aging. So if the level of collagenase is low, so it means that our collagen will be high and the aging can be inhibited. And we also know that Centella asiatica have the antioxidant potency, so it also can inhibit this ROS level. Here is my conclusions. The study suggests that two new flavonoids, castelliferol and castellithiidin, perform inhibition in MMP3, 9, and 12, and refill the anti-aging potential. So thank you so much for the attention, and I would like to accept any questions. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Gabriela, for the valuable information about Contella asiatica in skincare product. Now I will open discussion for session number 2. Short recap. In session number 2, we have Ms. Nur Hidayati that already presented their work about environmental care, varying by gender and grade of the student. And the second presenter is Ms. Krishna Murthy that already present about Contella asiatica in skincare product. So all of participants in this room can deliver question by raise hand or send the question in chat room. Okay, we have a question in chat room actually, and the question from Ms. Tantri Mayasari, and the question is to Ms. Nur Hidayati. Is Ms. Nur Hidayati here or still here? Okay. The question from Ms. Tantri that how to increase male student environmental knowledge during a pandemic. Currently, all students are learning from home. Meanwhile, the result of your research state that it depends on the teacher. So, Ms. Nur Hidayati, please respond the question from Ms. Tantri. It's okay to use Indonesia, Miss. It's okay to use bahasa. Okay, maybe we Ms. Nur Hidayati have a trouble. Okay, I'll open discussion again. Maybe any other question for presenter from for both presenter Ms. Nur Hidayati and Ms. Krishna Murthy. Okay, okay, I think we have no question, but I want to ask some thing to Ms. Krishna Murthy or Ms. Gabriela about Contella asiatica in skincare product. We all know that some men and a lot of women use skincare product. Yeah, of course, the purpose to use skincare product is for anti-aging. Is the Contella asiatica already exists in both men's skincare and women's skincare? Maybe you can tell us about it.
Okay, thank you for the question. I did research about the cosmetics from Contella asiatica, but I'm not specifically researching on the men cosmetics or women cosmetics. But anyway, it's already exists that is Contella asiatica have the already applied in some cosmetics. But for this research, I would like to highlight these two new flavonoids because this new flavonoids just invented in the 2008. So it's still new, and we already knew that is Contella asiatica have flavonoids and another components such as effect in the anti-inflammation. So it's obviously it has benefits in anti-aging. But I would like to focus for my research. I would like to focus on the two new flavonoids that exist in the Contella asiatica that just identified in the 2008. But to answer, it's just the information for information. But for answering your question, I had research for the cosmetics. But yes, that exists.
Okay. Okay, thank you for the response. Now we will move on to the next session. In this list of participants in the Zoom meeting, we have Miss Nia Eka Mayasari and Miss Dianita. Okay, Miss Nia Eka, can you hear me? Okay, based on committee information that Miss Nia Eka Mayasari has 2 papers. The first paper is balok anti asap balas made of biochar AZS, pure pollutant in Brum industry in Kali Abu village, Madiun Regency. And the second paper is CanVilab, application-based e-practice to support distance learning lessons biology in senior high school. For confirmation, maybe Ms. Nia Eka can tell me, are you prefer to live presentation or using video presentation?
I'm using video presentation.
Okay, in both paper, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the first paper from Ms. Nia Eka Mayasari with the ID is Bio 7.6, balok anti asap, balas made of biochar AZS, pure pollutant in Brum industry in Kali Abu village, Madiun Regency. Mas Rizal diputar yang 7.6.
Hello, good morning everyone. Today we will present our scientific paper that is balok anti asap balas with biochar as an air purifier box to reduce air pollutant from the home industry of Brum in Kali Abu village, Madiun. The background our paper is human life cannot be separated from its environment. A healthy environment is an important factor for maintaining the health of human and other living things. Pollution that is rampant has a major impact on the decline in environmental quality. Air pollution occurs due to activities produced by products in the form of smoke. Smoke contains harmful gases whose presence in the long term can cause global warming. Brum home industry is one of the largest cottage industry in Madiun Regency. Brum is one of the biotechnology products that utilize sticky rice as a raw material. Kali Abu village is one of the villages where the majority of the people have a Brum home industry. Brum home industry is hereditary, starting from a small family business that continues to grow until it is used as a livelihood by the people of Kali Abu village, because it is considered to provide economic improvement. Brum products are currently experiencing many innovations in terms of taste, adapting to the needs of the community. Kali Abu village also has a landfill that accommodates more than 2,700 cubic meters of waste. Organic waste is used as organic fertilizer. Waste treatment is carried out when the reservoir is full. Inorganic waste such as plastic, which is difficult to decompose and is present in large quantities, has not been utilized properly. Plastic waste is allowed to accumulate. Even plastic waste is also found in nearby dry wells at landfills. The existence of plastic waste causes Kali Abu village to become a flood-prone area.
Biochar made from plastic that is neutralized to more than 400 degrees Celsius for 4 hours. Pyrolysis of rice husk produces biochar containing carbon and silica. The process of making biochar requires the addition of cellulose from this water as an additive. Wood dust contains 47% of cellulose, which can be used as a filter for particulate matter. Wood filter can filter 42% of particulate matter. Banana stem contains cellulose, which forms a porous layer as a filter for harmful gases. Banana fronds that are processed by drying and activating can filter up to 76% of harmful gases. Fresh ingredients such as betel leaf, turmeric, and ginger can be used as an antibacterial, viral, allergenic, and fungal ingredients. Ballast is an air-purifying device made from waste. Its constituent components include biochar-coated box, fans, filters from wood dust as a filter for particulate matter, filters from banana fronds as filters for harmful gases, and filters from turmeric, ginger, and betel leaf as microbial filters. Changes in the air index can be seen using the breathometer application. Ballast works is by conducting an electric current to drive the fan, so that polluted air enters the device through the front cap. The polluted air will go through the wood powder filter, banana frond filter, and microbial filter. Filtered air exits through the back cap. Kali Abu village has 58 home industries of broom. The broom production process, which is still done traditionally using firewood, produces exhaust gas and the form of smoke, which is dangerous for various aspects, especially health aspect. This research was conducted with 60 repetition and 2 treatment with a research time of 30 minutes each. The data obtained are shown in the following table. Based on data in the table, the average value indicates that the air quality before entering the Palook Anti-Asap ballast is 40.25, while the average air quality after passing through the Palook Anti-Asap ballast is 55.75. It showed that the use of Palook Anti-Asap ballast can improve air quality by 15.5. The image on the left shows the air quality value data obtained using the breathometer application of 65 with good quality. Next slide is discussion. The advantage of Palook Anti-Asap include A. Improved air quality, evidenced by the air quality of 15.5. B. Environmentally friendly. The material used comes from waste, one of which is plastic that is difficult to decompose. C. Easy to make. D. Inexpensive, of course. Lifespan. Palook Anti-Asap is 1 to 2 months. Factors that influence the performance of Palook Anti-Asap: A. Fan blade strength. B. The density of PM filter. C. The ability to filter harmful gases.
I think that's all of our presentation. Thanks for your attention. See you later.
Okay, that's Ms. Nia Eka Mayasari presented about ballast for pure pollutant, and the next presenter also Ms. Nia Eka Mayasari, entitled CanVLab application-based e-practice to support distance learning lesson biology in senior high school.
Hello, good morning everyone. Today we will present our scientific paper that is CanVLab application based on a practice to support biology learning in senior high school. The background of my scientific paper is the COVID-19 pandemic has brought the learning system online. The online learning system hinders practical activity in school. One of the subjects that require adaptation to distant learning conditions is biology. Some schools in Indonesia do not have adequate practicum facilities and infrastructure, whereas the existence of a laboratory in a school is very important in supporting biology teaching and learning activities, because there are some material within understanding it need to be observed or experimented in the laboratory. Practical-based learning is learning that provides concrete experiments and support the development of students hands-on and mean-on, so that they can help students reconstruct conceptual understanding. Based on this description,
The COVID-19 pandemic has hampered the implementation of practicum activities because almost all schools implemented online learning policies and prohibited students from going online to school. It is quite difficult because practical learning provides a complex learning experience for students. Many students like and easily understand the material with practicum activities, and teachers also find it easier to convey material in chapters using the practicum method. Apart from the reason for the pandemic, there are still many schools in Indonesia that do not yet have adequate practicum equipment. One example from the research of Putri et al. 2014 states that 80% of schools in Bengkulu province have limited availability of practicum tools, so that practicum activities cannot run optimally. From a survey we conduct on 200 of 11th grade high school students in Madiun, it is known that many students need virtual lab application to support practicum activities during the pandemic and assist in carrying out practicums for schools that do not have adequate practicum equipment. So far, the solution used by teachers generally is to ask students to carry out practical activities independently using tools and materials at home. But there are also teachers who choose to explain the technical implementation and results of the practicum without asking students to try. We provide a survey containing 5 questions, with 4 multiple choice questions and 1 objective question. The survey results show that as many as 74% of students like practicum activities, 68% of students easily understood the material through practical activities, and 45% of students state that practicum activities were still carried out but only for simple practical materials that could be carried at home. Therefore, the existence of the CanVLab application has the potential to be further developed. On the objective questions, the majority of students want a virtual lab application that is quota efficient, doesn't require large storage, provides visualization like in a laboratory, and is easy to use. The CanVLab application is made using the Thunkable application, which doesn't require coding in the manufacturing process. The CanVLab application provides 3 practical activities, namely food content practicum, blood type test practicum, and urine content practicum. Teachers have the facility to set the time for practicum, add discussion question, and add space for discussion or a place to upload assignments for students. Participants get the facility to repeat the practicum 3 times if they make a mistake during the practicum.
The application is validated by 2 expert validators. The first expert validator kept a score 10 out of a total score 12 and obtained a percentage of 83%. The second media expert validator gave a score 11 out of total score of 12 and percentage of 92% was obtained. Based on validation percentage from the two validator, the CanVLab application is included in the very good category. Strengths and weaknesses. The CanVLab application also provides the possibility of different practical results for students because this application allows students to carry out practical flexibility. The CanVLab application can be installed on both Android and iOS devices, and it's not expected to require a lot of storage space. Android has the facility to create a database known as SQLite, which is an embedded software, a combination of SQL interface and very little memory usage with very high speed. The CanVLab application is a solution for harboring practical activities on high school biology, material during pandemic, and solution for school with limited laboratory facilities.
I think that's all of our presentation. Thanks for your attention. See you later.
Okay, thank you for Ms. Nia Eka Mayasari. The presentation is all about virtual labs by using application that can be useful in electronic learning or e-learning during the pandemic. So I will open the discussion for two papers that Ms. Nia Eka Mayasari already presented. Okay. Short recap, the first paper is about ballast made of biochar SES, pure pollutant in Brem industry in Kaliapu village, Madiun Regency. And the second paper is CanVLab application-based practice to support distant learning lessons biology in senior high school. Please, if you have any question, raise hand or deliver the question with chat room. Okay. Still no question. Maybe Miss Nia Eka, maybe Miss Nia Eka Mayasari can explain about the ballast in the presentation that you already explained to us. Ballast easy to mix, inexpensive, and ballast used for Brem industry. Of course, if we talk about industrial property, we need to focus in, or there are one variable in industrial property, which is durability. How about the durability of ballast itself? Use bahasa is okay, ya. Jadi saya bertanya tentang durability dari ballast ini, durability-nya ketika dipakai.
Oke, jadi saya akan menjelaskan tentang produk saya mengenai ballast, kenapa dia itu bisa dikatakan mudah dibuat dan murah. Dikatakan mudah dibuat itu karena dia terbuatnya dari bekas, bahan-bahan bekas seperti limbah sampah Kaliapu. Jadi kita memanfaatkan lokal yang ada di desa Kaliapu itu sendiri. Nah, kita olah, kemudian kita gabungkan dengan beberapa bahan seperti pisang kepok, kemudian ada seperti air leri, kemudian ada bahan-bahannya itu seperti kain katun Saudia untuk penyerapan. Nah, kita gabung menjadi satu, kita bentuk alat yaitu balas yang ada di dalam box tadi. Nah, alat-alat itu akan kita sebar di setiap rumah, yaitu rumahnya itu yang ada pusat industri Bremnya.
Oh, okay. So basically, ballast is used for home, not in BREM industry itself to reduce the pollutant causing by the BREM industry itself. Okay, thank you for the explanation about ballast from Nia Eka Mayasari. Maybe any other question? Okay, if I take a look in participant list in Zoom meeting, we have Miss Dianita. Miss Dianita, can you hear me?
Yes.
Your name in list of participant in Zoom meeting inform me that you are one of presenter in room number 7. But the list of presenter that the committee already give to me inform that your name is not exist in here. So can you confirm to me, are you the participant of this room number 7 or maybe in another room? Okay, maybe I will use bahasa. Kalau di list presenter di sini nama Dianita tidak ada, maka saya perlu konfirmasi apakah di dalam jadwalnya itu ada di room nomor 7 atau tidak.
Saya bagian dari tim Nia Eka.
Oh,
sebentar balas dan juga kan Bim.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see it. Okay, so all of participants in this room already present their work, or their paper, and also we already doing discussion according to the paper. Now it's time to close this section, this parallel presentation section. All of you can join other room, so you can join room number 1 until room number 10, in the Zoom. I think in other room the presentation still not done yet. And also I have information about the third ISETEC 2022 that Universitas PGRI Madiun will hold the third ISETEC 2022 in next year, and we hope that all of you can join us again in this event, in the next event, by signing up as presenter. So thank you for your presentation, for your attendance, and for valuable discussion in this room number 7. My name is Lingga Niko Pradana. Thank you and see you again.